मकतल से यही आती थी सदा, मकतल से यही आती थी सदा। कोई न रहा सन्नाटा है, परदेस में जा के कौन बचा। कोई न रहा सन्नाटा है, मकतल से यही आती थी सदा। अल्लाह ये कैसा मंजर है, जो लाश भी है वो बेसर है, जो लाश भी है वो बेसर है, बहता है यहाँ खून का दरिया, कोई न रहा सन्नाटा है, मकतल से यही आती थी सदा। ये लाश भी किस मजलूम की है, जिस पे है सकीना लिपटी हुई, जिस पे है सकीना लिपटी हुई, और तीरों से जख्मी है गला, कोई न रहा सन्नाटा है, मकतल से यही आती थी सदा। एक लाश है जिसमें हाथ नहीं, और तीर लगे हैं आँखों पर, और तीर लगे हैं आँखों पर, हे मशके सकीना टूटा हुआ, कोई न रहा सन्नाटा है, मकतल से यही आती थी सदा। खैमे में बैठी एक मादर, और गोद में रखा है एक सर, अकबर का कोई न रहा, सन्नाटा है। मकतल से यही आती थी सदा। कुछ फूल के टुकड़े चादर में, मादर है लगाई सीने से, मादर है लगाई सीने से, शबर का कलेजा टुकड़े हुआ, कोई न रहा, सन्नाटा है। परदेस में जाके कौन बचा, कोई न रहा, सन्नाटा है। मकतल से यही आती थी सदा, कोई न रहा, सन्नाटा है। सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि नबी।
बराए खुशनुदी सैयद ज़ैनब बुलंद तरीन सलावत। बेकसी में अब क्या करे बहन, है नहीं कोई दूर है वतन। बेकसी में अब क्या करे बहन, है नहीं कोई दूर है वतन। अपने दोष पर लेके कारवां शाम हो गई, जाए अब कहाँ लुट चुका है घर, जल गया मकान शाम हो गई, जाए अब कहाँ है चहार सुन दूर तक दुआ शाम हो गई, जाए अब कहाँ। कुछ खबर नहीं है गुलाब की, गोद उजड़ चुकी है रुबाब की। कुछ खबर नहीं है गुलाब की, गोद उजड़ चुकी है रुबाब की। दश्त में पड़ा है वो नीम जान, शाम हो गई, जाए अब कहाँ। अलमद अलमदद खुदा अलमदद अली, खून में मिली सूरत नबी। अलमदद खुदा अलमदद अली, खून में मिली सूरत नबी। कत्ल हो गया है वो नौजवान, शाम हो गई जाए अब कहाँ, लुट चुका है। सुर्ख हो गया दश्ते करबला, तुम थे आसरा हम गरीब का। सुर्ख हो गया दश्ते करबला, तुम थे आसरा हम गरीब का। कुछ जवाब दो हो कहाँ चचा, शाम हो गई जाए अब कहाँ। हाथ बंद गया है इमाम का, तोक पड़ गया मुल्क शाम का। हाथ बंद गया है इमाम का, तोक पड़ गया मुल्क शाम का। पाँव में पड़ी दोहरी बेड़ियां, शाम हो गई जाए अब कहाँ, लुट चुका है जल गया मकान, शाम हो गई जाए अब कहाँ। हे चहार सुन दूर तक दुआ, शाम हो गई जाए अब कहाँ, लुट चुका है। बराए खुशनुदी शहजादी सकीना बुलंद तरीन सलावत।
लब्बैक या हुसैन, أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وإنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون صلى الله عليك سيدي ومولاي يا أبا عبد الله صلى الله عليك يا ابن رسول الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة يا غريب يا مظلوم يا شهيد كربلاء يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز فوزا عظيما بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي. For any human being, losing a loved one is the most traumatic of experiences. It brings forth great feelings of sadness and sorrow. Losing a beloved, somebody that we're close to, brings tears to our eyes, is one of the most difficult moments of our lives. We don't have any appetite for anything other than grief and sorrow. And it is one of the most difficult moments of any human being to lose someone whom they admire, they love, they've spent all their lives with or respecting. But one thing that is important when you lose a loved one is the opportunity to grieve for them, is the opportunity to mourn for them, is the opportunity to bury them, is the chance to be allowed to see them for the final time before they're buried. And it is the moments after their death, for the few hours in which the human being is thinking and grieving, very important for the whole process of healing, to be able to be sorrowful, to be able to shed those tears and mourn. The Holy Sixth Imam, peace and blessings be upon him, says that on one occasion the army of Al-Mansur al-Diwaniqi, the caliph at that time, attacked the house of the Imam. When they attacked the house, they began to set fire on it. The rooms began to be engulfed in flames of fire. Imam alayhi salam gathered his family members, but whilst gathering his family, they could see Imam as-Sadiq crying. They saw Imam as-Sadiq shedding tears. They said to him, Ya ibn Rasulillah, is it because your house is being burnt that you're crying? He says, no. They said, Ya Imam as-Sadiq, Is it because your family are being affected? He says, all of them, alhamdulillah, they're well. He said, Ya ibn Rasulillah, why is it that you're shedding the tears then? He said, I remembered Sham-E-Ghareeba. I remembered the musibah of the ladies of Ahl al-Bayt. I remembered the burning of the tents. Allahu Akbar. Those few hours after the Shahada of Aba Abdullah was amongst the most difficult for Ali Muhammad, was amongst the most painful for the family of Rasulullah, for the daughters of Ali, the daughters of Hussein. When you lose those loved ones, you want to grieve, you want to cry, you want to gather around their bodies. But what did those innocent children and women have to do? They surrounded Sayyida Zainab, and Zainab said to them, run, run. And they would run from one place to another, chased by the army of Shimr and Umar ibn Sa'ad. The narrations tell us that Imam alayhi salam's body was on the plains. They surrounded his body. They wanted to take everything from the blessed body of Aba Abdullah. One person took his turban, another person took his sword, a third person took his outer garment, a fourth person came and sat next to where his body was and saw that Imam had a ring on his fingers. This ring he thought would be very precious. It might be the ring of the Holy Prophet. He tried to remove the ring from the fingers of Imam al-Hussein, but the fingers and the ring were stuck because of the blood of Aba Abdullah. This man tried and tried, but the ring doesn't come out. He took out a small knife or a dagger and he began to sever the hands and the fingers of Aba Abdullah. At that moment, Umar ibn Sa'ad cried out, O 10 horsemen, sharpen your hooves, prepare yourselves, and trample on the bodies of the companions of Hussein. They began to get ready. They said to him, O commander, who should we start first? He said, trample on the body of Al-Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. When they were about to do so, his tribe Ibn Riyah said, we do not want you to trample on the body of a person from our tribe. He then said, trample on the body of Habib ibn Mudahir. The tribe of Bani Asad said, we do not want anyone to trample on the body of anyone from our tribe. They went from one companion to another. Each and every companion had a tribe to defend them. Each and every companion with family would say, don't dare trample on the body of our tribal member. Then he looked and said, trample on the bodies of the family of the Prophet. They wanted to trample on the body of Ali al-Akbar, but some of his tribesmen were there. They said, we will not allow you. He said, what about Abbas? Some of Bani Kilab were there. They said, we will not allow you. Finally, Umar ibn Sa'ad said, is there a body that has no one to protect them? Is there a body that has no family or tribe? They said, there is one. They said, which one? They said, the body of Hussein. He said, O horsemen, sharpen your hooves, dig them on the chest of Hussein, crush the bones of Hussein. Allahu Akbar. Those amongst you that have been to Karbala, you know there is a place in the shrine of Aba Abdullah known as the Qatlaga, the Maqtal al-Husayni. You wonder why there is a place known as Maqtal, and a few meters, quite a few meters away is the shrine of Imam al-Hussein, is the actual grave of Imam al-Hussein. Why was he slaughtered in one place and buried in another? It is because that moment the hooves of the horses would move the body of the Imam from one place to another. His body was shifted a few meters this way and a few meters that way. Allahu Akbar. It is as if Aba Abdullah, yes, in those moments he's left this world, his body is being crushed. The poet says Hussein's body was being crushed, cries out, Assalamu alayki ya Ummah, ya Fatima. Oh Mother Fatima, your bones were crushed between the wall and the door. Come and see my body. Imam Zain al-Abidin was inside the tent. He hears the noise of something crushing, something breaking. He asks my auntie Zainab, what is it that's been broken? Sayyida Zainab looks outside. She says, this is the body of your father Hussein. They are crushing the body of Aba Abdullah. Not satisfied with the trampling on the body of Hussein, the enemy of Allah, Amr ibn Sa'ad, cries out, O army, attack the tents, burn the tents, don't let them get away. Shimr and his cronies, they begin to attack the tents of Aba Abdullah and his family. They begin to set fire on the tents. They begin to loot everything inside those tents. The children come out screaming, Auntie Zainab, Auntie Zainab. Our clothes have caught fire, our belongings are being looted. Shimr enters one tent. He sees Imam Zain al-Abidin in that state. He says, how dare you? Why is it that you're still alive? We do not allow anyone to stay alive. He picked up his sword. He said, I will make you join your father. Sayyida Zainab, she sees this sight. She throws herself on the body of Imam Zain al-Abidin. Oh Shimr, if you are to kill him, then you must kill me first. Take me my life first. Don't you dare touch this honorable individual. Then Shimr looks around. He does not wish to strike Sayyida. It was not customary to kill the women. Then he looked at his soldiers. He says, do not even leave them. Do not give them mercy. So one soldier rushes inside the tent and he finds one of the daughters of Aba Abdullah sitting afraid. This soldier comes towards her. She says to him, oh man, what do you want? He begins to come close to her with the tears in his eyes. She says, why are you crying? He says, I know if I don't do this, somebody else will. She says, what do you want to do? This man snatches the hijab of this young child of Aba Abdullah. Then he looks at her ears. There is an earring in her ears. He begins to pull the earring from her ears. She cries in agony and pain, oh Father Aba Abdullah, look at what they're doing towards us. When he pulls the earring from her ears, it begins to pour forth blood. Another child of Aba Abdullah on the plains of Karbala, with fire engulfing her dress. She is running and running. A man by the name of Hamid ibn Muslim sees her. He tries to remove the fire from her body, from her clothing. He's a historian. She looks at him and says, Ya Sheikh, هل أنت معنا أم علينا? Oh Sheikh, are you with us or against us? He said, I am neither for you or against you. She said, Ya Sheikh, هل قرأت القرآن? Have you read the Quran? He says, yes, I have. She says, هل قرأت قرآن الله عندما يقول فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر? Have you read the verse, don't hurt the yatim? He says, of course I have read. She says, Ya Sheikh, أنا يتيمة الحسين. I am the orphan of Abu Abdullah. Then she says, هل قرأت القرآن عندما يقول الباري فأما السائل فلا تنهر? The one who asks you, do not turn them away. He says, yes, yes, yes. She says, I'm asking you, show me the direction of Najaf. He says, why do you want to know where Najaf is? She said, they told me my grandfather Ali is buried in Najaf. I wish to go to that place and complain to my grandfather. I wish to say, oh my grandfather, look at what they've done to your daughters. Look at what they've done to your children. Look at how they've treated your family. Oh man, tell me where is Alqami? He says, why? She says, they told me my uncle Abbas is there. They told me my Abbas is next to the Alqami. I never bid farewell to my uncle Abbas. I wish to see him one more time. Allahu Akbar. The children running from one place to the other. At that moment the narration says that a number of children were held. They were kept captive together. When they eventually were given some water, many of them rejected the water, but one of them took the water. When they asked the child, why did you take the water? He says, my uncle Hussein was thirsty. I wish to take this water towards my uncle Abu Abdullah. Even the children are thinking of you, O Hussein, Ya Ghareeba. Allahu Akbar. Those moments were the most difficult. That night was the most painful for the family of Ahlul Bayt. They were all gathered, crying and mourning their beloved. One was saying, oh father. Another was saying, oh uncle. The women tried to console them. Sayyida Zainab tried to calm them. At that moment, Zuhair ibn al-Qayn's wife by the name of Daylam, she said, I looked at a maid of mine and I said to her, please go on the battlefield, go out of the tent, I give you a sheet, I want you to cover the body of my husband Zuhair ibn al-Qayn, so that no harm comes to him, his body. The servant leaves, she comes back a few moments. Daylam says to her, did you do it? She said, no. She said, why didn't you do it? She says, whilst walking to Zuhair's body, I saw the body of Abu Abdullah. I saw the body of Hussein ibn Ali. Wallah, I've never seen a body torn into pieces like this. I've never seen a body injured like this. Imam Zayn al-Abidin says the body was filled with arrows. It was like a hedgehog. They did not leave a part of the body of Imam al-Hussein without striking it, without hurting it. She said, I covered the body of Aba Abdullah instead. And that time, you know, that moment, the most difficult and painful for Ali Muhammad, those most excruciatingly painful moments, Sayyida Zainab finds that this lady Rabab, Rabab, the mother of the 6-month-old, is not there. She looks towards the tent. She does not find her. She recognizes that this mother has left the tent. She comes out looking for Rabab on the plains of Karbala until she finds her. She says, oh Rabab, where did you go? Why did you leave? Oh Zainab, I'm looking for my baby, my baby. Oh Zainab, I can still hear the cries of my Asghar. Oh Zainab, I wish to feed my Asghar. Tell me, where can I find my Asghar? The narrations point that night Sayyida Zainab tried to calm the children, tried to calm the women. There was nobody to protect them. There was nobody to look after them. But Sayyida Zainab was resolute and strong. She would perform Salatul Layl sitting down, because she had no energy to stand up. At one moment, she missed the daughter of Aba Abdullah by the name of Sukayna. She went out. She knew where this Sukayna would be. She found her next to the body of Aba Abdullah. This young daughter of Hussein was crying next to the body of Hussein. She was saying, oh father, why, oh why, they've made me an orphan. Oh father, look at what they've done to your body. Oh father, why have they treated you this way? When Sayyida Zainab reaches her, Sukayna, who is 13 or 14 years of age, looks behind. At that moment she finds her auntie Zainab, and they both hear a sound coming from the direction of the body of Aba Abdullah. شيعتي مهما شربتم عذب ماء فاذكروني. This is a message for you and I. Oh my Shia, every time you drink some water, remember me. Oh سمعتم بغريب أو شهيد فاندبوني. When you hear of somebody who is stranded, somebody who is gharib, somebody who is martyred, don't forget me. Abu Abdullah is saying, فأنا الصبت الذي من غير ذنب ذبحوني. I am the grandson of the Prophet whom they slaughtered without any sin, whom they slaughtered without any crimes. That's why Imam Zayn al-Abidin in Medina every time would remember this. When he sees, for example, an animal about to be slaughtered, he says, have you fed this animal water? They say, yes, we have. He says, please make sure that the animal has water. They said, yes, Yabna Rasulullah. He would say, my father Hussein was slaughtered Atshan. My father Hussein was slaughtered thirsty. Then he sees, for example, somebody who's about to leave this world. Then the gathering of the family members, they pick up the body. He says to them, he says, are you going to bury this body? They say, yes, we will bury this body. He says, please bury this body quickly. They say, why? My father was left on the plains of Karbala without burial, without a kafan and without ghusl. That night, Sayyida Zainab, when the children were asleep, she fell asleep for a few moments. In her dream she saw that she was missing one of the children of Aba Abdullah. When she realized that child was not there, she went out of the tent looking for that yatim of Hussein, until she saw a man on a horse carrying the child of Aba Abdullah. She could not recognize the man from far. The man began to come close towards her. She began to say to the man, I ask you in the name of Allah, don't hurt us. My Abbas is not here to protect me. I ask you by the name of Allah, return this child who is yatima to us. This man dismounts from his horse. He places the young child on the ground. He looks up and says, Oh my daughter Zainab, do you not recognize your father Amir al-Mu'mineen? I am your father Ali. Allahu Akbar. Zainab says, Oh father, don't blame me. If only you saw what I saw on the place of Karbala. Oh father, if only you saw the body of Qasim. Oh father, if only you witnessed what they did to Ali al-Akbar. Oh father, I sent my sons Awn and Muhammad, and I received their lifeless bodies. Oh father, I wish you saw the arrow on the eyes of Abul Far. Oh father, I wish you saw the arms that were severed of Abul Fadl. Oh father, they did not even spare the 6-month-old Asghar. They slaughtered him from one vein to another. Oh father, they placed the head of Hussein on a spear. Oh father, they trampled on the body of Abu Abdullah. Ya Ali, oh father, but I do not wish for you to see what I saw. Oh father, I wish you did not see, and you never see what I saw. Oh father, I saw Shimmer walk to Abu Abdullah. Oh father, I saw Shimmer sit on the chest of Abu Abdullah. Oh father, I saw him take out a dagger. I saw him stab the body. Ya Hussein.
Sham-E-Ghareeba hey Shi'ayun Sham-E-Ghareeba Jisme Hussein Uriyan Andar Biya hey Shi'ayun Sham-E-Ghareeba کربلا امشب زری و افغان است جسم علی اکبر در خون گلتان است ای شیعیان امشب شام غریبان است ای شیعیان امشب شام غریبان با علت محزون چون ناشه در خون بر دیدای اونها هر چشم گریان است ای شیعیان امشب شام غریبان است ای شیعیان امشب شام غریبان است چون زینب محزون بدیده گریان گفته بیرادر جان مبی کس و یاریم ای شیعیان امشب شام غریبان است ای شیعیان امشب شام غریبان است ختم رسول آید بر جمله همراهند از قتل فرزندش گریان و نالان است ای شیعیان شب شام غریبان است ای شیعیان شب شام غریبان است در کربلا امشب مجلس ترحیم است ذاکر در اون مجلس صدیقای کبرا ای شیعیان امشب شام غریبان است ای شیعیان امشب شام غریبان یہ شام غریبان ہے دریا کی روانی ہے یہ شام غریبان ہے دریا کی روانی ہے یہ شام غریبان ہے